Oh, I found a little silver pan of mine. I really love these pans. I need to put something in it though, because as beautiful as it is, it's better when it's full. Are you hungry? Do you have some tomatoes, beef, ricotta, lasagna noodles? How about one, two, three kind of cheeses? Well, technically, with the ricotta, it'd be four, so, but who am I to judge? Let's fill this thing. So, as not to be too silly, let me give you the ingredient, and I'm also gonna list them below. You're gonna need 2 pounds of meat. Whatever meat you use, I'm gonna use 2 pounds of ground beef. You're also gonna need, if you tolerate, I'll say, the recipe calls for half of a minced onion, 2 garlic cloves, crushed. You're gonna need, for this size pan, 2 28-ounce cans of tomato because I make my own sauce for this. You can also buy 2 jars of tomato sauce and that will be sufficient. You're gonna need a tablespoon of honey. If you like your sauce on a little bit sweeter side, you're gonna need a tablespoon and a half of honey. You can also use sugar. We'll need some fresh parsley, about 3 tablespoons chopped. You're gonna need 1.5 teaspoons of dried basil leaves. What I've done in terms of seasoning is I put in the ground beef 2 teaspoons of salt and a teaspoon of black pepper, and I kind of let that marinate. Then you'll need about a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. You'll need about a teaspoon of fennel, the lasagna noodles. So for this size pan, I'm gonna use about 3 packs of flat lasagna noodles. Again, the more detailed recipe will be on the bottom. And then I'm using 2 16-ounce containers of ricotta. You'll also need 1 egg to mix in the ricotta. And if you want to flavor the ricotta, you can place a little bit of, one of my secrets is a teaspoon of lemon pepper and a 1/4 teaspoon of smoked paprika. So without further ado, let's get started. Let's go brown this meat. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and my tomato, and I'll show you my very simple sauce. So this is 2 cans of 28-ounce canned tomato. Okay, and so what we're gonna add to this is the 2 28-ounce cans of whole tomato, fennel, basil, Italian seasoning, some salt and pepper, and a little bit of oregano. I'm gonna use my emulsion blender to go ahead and blend this. One thing you'll learn by watching my YouTube channel, I love kitchen gadgets. So I will find a kitchen gadget and I will find something to do with it. Not looking for something and then looking for a gadget for it. Just give me the gadget. If I think it's cool, I'll use it. We're just gonna make a mess here. Not so much, but I want everything all blended up in here. And there you go. See, when you're making lasagna or when you're making different Italian dishes, it's nice to have a smoother sauce sometimes than have a chunkier one. But when you're making lasagna, you want that thing to be a little chunky where you can see a little piece of tomatoes in there. See that? That's kind of the consistency you want. So while meat is simmering, I'm gonna go ahead and put together the ricotta. So what I have in here, as I said, is 2 16-ounce containers of ricotta, 1 egg. I put a little lemon pepper in there, and I'm gonna hit it with just a little bit more parsley. I'm gonna whip this up. We're gonna just whip this up, put a top on it, and store it in the fridge until you're ready to actually use it on the lasagna. You don't want any of this dairy out at room temperature. So here we are, everyone, the moment of truth. We're gonna put this lasagna together. I actually switched out my original one that I wanted to fill, but I'm gonna go ahead and use this one. What we wanna do is make sure, since we're using the no-boil noodle, that sauce there, and we want it a little saucy for a couple reasons. Nobody needs a dry lasagna, number one. Number two, though that sauce is gonna serve to cook the noodles, to help cook the noodles. If you put a dry base in here, then what's going to end up happening is those noodles are going to be kind of firm, but they may even give you a chewy kind of vibe. You don't want that. So we're going to base it with the sauce and then just start adding the noodles in. And I'm going to do them this way. Actually, let's try this way. I'm tempted to put them this way because of the pan, but what I'm going to go ahead and do is just do the regular lasagna style way. If it was a longer pan, kind of overlap those, and we're going to do that a couple times here so we can get a 3-fold of lasagna. Move them over a little bit so they can be from end to end. Once we get those in there, we're going to go ahead and add some ricotta. And as you can see, you gotta be kind of gentle with it. We don't need too much ricotta, but I call this the glue. because when it bakes in, it's gonna give you that extra cheesy and meaty flavor. And if you like lasagna, that's what you're looking for when you eat one, a nice cheesy meaty flavor. And I have a lot of them here so I can go ahead and share. These noodles are actually gluten-free for this order specifically. So it's a little fragile, a little gentle to work with, but we'll get it done. You don't want any kind of ball spots. I like to play with this because this is my artwork. They say don't play with your food, right? Play with your food, but the more time you put in it, the better. Again, I'm very generous with these lasagnas because, lasagna is not something you eat all the time. But at the same time, I'm doing this in a way where it's gonna be healthier than the alternative. And so with that, we add in the sauce, lasagna layer, ricotta layer, meat layer, and a generous portion of mozzarella. Nice and generous. And all the products I'm using are either organic or non-GMO. So you can have all the flavor and none of the pesticides. Then we're gonna do that layer over again. Let's try it again. We're gonna do sheets. I really don't like these pans because they bend around like that, but you know what? I'm gonna change. That's right. Not gonna work. It's not gonna work. Overlap these. Another layer of this. Paint on your artwork. And this middle layer, I don't really like to share all my secrets, but there's something about this middle layer that inspires me to put in that right about that middle part, you get it in your mouth, and right about that middle part where you're just like, okay, I'm feeling this with the first bite, and you bite down in that middle layer. That's where I'm gonna captivate my taster, right in that middle layer. I'm gonna go ahead, noodles, meat, just like the bottom layer. Sorry, getting a little messy there. Noodles, meat, but this time I am going to add that generous layer of mozzarella, and then we're gonna add in, remember that little bowl I had earlier? Before we do that, we're gonna add in some, look at that. That, my friend, is a nice little layer of cottage cheese, and it is some type of wonderful when you taste this. Now, I've had a lot of my customers say, I've never tasted a lasagna like that before. I'm sure. Because traditional Italian lasagna does not use ricotta. I do believe it's bechamel. It's what we call a roux. So we make a roux for our macaroni and cheese, and what the Italians have is a roux for their lasagna. So what I have here is a special kind of cheese. Now this one I do not give out because the only way you'll get a lasagna from me for sure is if you have my signature. And this is my signature cheese, and I bet you some of the good cooks out there know what that signature cheese is. But I'll never tell. Maybe if I get 1,000 likes, I don't know. I'll tell, but then I'll have to switch to a different one. Then, once we get that on there, we're gonna lay the final layer. Noodle, again, really, really, really not filling this pan. So, yeah. Next time, I will not be using this. I need a straight square down pan. That's like the one I was trying to use earlier, but I couldn't. So I won't trip. It's done. I can't cry over spilled milk. All right. So now we have the noodles, and then we have the ricotta. Nice and smooth. Gently wash your artwork. If you love your artwork, everyone else will love your artwork. Is that true though? But is that really true though? Of course, you're always gonna have those critics. I wouldn't have did it that way. And that's why it's my artwork and not yours. You do you. I'm gonna do me. Have all that, get under there. You don't want those little noodles to be looking messy. I'm gonna get all in there. Okay? And then we're gonna do the final layer of beef. And I kind of like drop that on there. And don't worry about that rising, because what's going to happen is as it boils, it's going to nicely fold. And you might say, wow, that's a lot of meat. It's a lot of meat. It's a lot of cheese. It's a lot of pasta. If you're on keto, go away. If you're a vegetarian, you can't eat this, but I can make you know you can eat it. If you're a vegan, you shouldn't be looking at no lasagna. Sister, you know who I'm talking to. On all that deliciousness. We eat, my friend, beauty Okay. But you notice I only put the cottage cheese on the middle layer. I just had this out literally for like 5 minutes to put it on here, and it's already starting to try to melt. We're gonna glaze the top real gently because the beauty is in the colors that we see. Did you know that the color red makes people want to eat? It's also rage, also a rage. It makes you want to eat. That's why McDonald's got that big old red. Did you know that? Well, they knew. That's why. They over a billion served. So take a look at this, okay? It's really heavy. It's nice. It's like a nice 5 to 8 pound lasagna. One of the reasons I opted for this pan is because I was able to put a little, it comes with a container top. And when you're making these no-bake, no-boil noodles, you want to go ahead and get you one of these containers and lightly add avocado or olive oil to it, whatever it is, lightly. And then that way you can just go ahead and flip it over on here like this. And then you can seal all the juices in, and it'll cook those no boil noodles. It'll cook those, and then your lasagna will be ready. So what you want to do is what you should have done. You want to put this in an oven of about 375 and 375 Fahrenheit. And then once you do that, you leave it in there for about 45 minutes, and then we'll come back and see what we got underneath the hood. And here is your final lasagna. This is what it looks like coming out the oven. Go ahead. Have a sniff. What the heck? Just take a bite. Thanks guys for hanging out with me.